Hello friends of WildRift and welcome back to another RiftGuides WildRift video. For today we're going to take a look at the climbing elo tier list. The reason for this list, or the purpose of this list, is not to showcase you the strongest champions available with the highest skills. It's about easy champions that will allow you to climb smoothly through the ranks. So don't mistake that when you're yet again trying to write some funny comments when you have no idea what you're talking about. Thank you, and now let's move over to our question of the day. What is your opinion on the current Wild Pass? Let me know in the comments below. First on this list comes the Baron lane, and here we have Garen as our pick of the patch. Garen is one of those champions that's just super easy to play, and you all know it. There's not much finesse you need when it comes to playing him, and you can barely do anything wrong. The most important thing when it comes to Garen is understanding that you have to cancel your first ability with an alt attack, like alt attack can do your first ability, and mitigating most incoming burst damage with your second ability. It also cuts down CC abilities because it grants you tenacity. When it comes to dealing damage, Garen is also some sort of a major threat for the enemy backline. Any squishy champion knows the pain of facing a Garen. The simple reason for this is his high base damage in the form of his first ability and his ultimate in combination with Ignite. Once the enemy is just below 50%, he can just press his ultimate with an Ignite and then that's it. Most champions can't withstand this kind of damage whatsoever. But if you notice during the laning phase that you're getting close to 50%, please don't try facing a Garen because you'll get punished by it. There's also a thing that you have to understand when it comes to Garen's trading patterns. Don't forget the first thing about his alt attack and his first ability, but also his burst mitigation too with the second ability. But what if I told you that trading with this champions in an active manner can be beneficial for you? And here's why. Garen's passive ability is regening him. It gives him more life regen, which if you think about it can be used to just go for different types of trades during the laning phase. You can trade away a little bit of your HP and then abuse the regen to go for another trade shortly after, because the enemy doesn't have the glorious regen you have. You can just keep on doing this and get the pressure during the laning phase and force the enemy to lose a few minions. Once you gain access to the tower, you can just safely proc your demolish, go for a free plate and then reset to not ruin your own tempo. But on level 5 it becomes really dangerous for literally anyone in your lane, because now you have a lot of true damage that cannot be countered by any type of resistance, which makes it very difficult to just stay in lane for the enemy champion. The only way they can really stay in lane is just getting away from you while getting safely towards farm. But that is not a real thing, because most of the champions in this game can't really do this without exposing their own bodies to risk. And don't forget, jungle also exists. And this is our full tier list for the Baron lane. Next on this list comes Shen for the jungle role. You heard it right, it's Shen in the jungle. With the recent buffs to Shen, Shen has been a power clearer now. Shen has become a solid staple pick for solo queue. It's not most likely or most necessarily about matchups with Shen jungle. It's about the ability to just go towards your teammates with your ultimate when you're on the opposing side of the map. So there will always be some global pressure. But let's talk about Shen in the jungle first. His clear with his first ability is insanely fast. And not only it's insanely fast, it's also insanely easy. But why Shen jungle in specific? So when it comes to climbing, and a lot of people have trouble with this, it's just committing to mistakes. The squishier your champion is, the harder it is to play flawlessly for you, because you don't know what's right or wrong in most instances, because, well, you're still climbing. But if you play a tanky champion, you allow yourself to commit more mistakes without getting, well, punished too severely for them. While doing so, you'll maybe learn a few more things, as you're allowed to witness more different scenarios throughout the game, rather than being pushed out of a game almost instantaneously. And that's why playing tanky characters is just such an easy way to gain more elo. However, this only applies if the champion you're playing, the tankier champion, has super high base stats and deals a lot of damage, because it needs to combine everything of the above. Deal damage, be tanky, and overall have consistent impact on the game depending on your champion's kit. So not many champions actually fulfill this criteria, but if you have those champions, you'll always find success playing those. And this is our full tier list for the jungle role. Next on this list comes the mid lane, and we have Ahri here. Ahri is one of those picks that have always been a solid staple, especially in the lower elo brackets. The reason for this champion being so good is the ability to just roam around the map. Many players you're facing will not properly answer to what they have to do, and you'll get away with a lot of things you shouldn't get away with. But with the rework to Ahri's ultimate, getting a kill or an assist will always grant you additional charge, which allows you to go for more kills. But what makes it so good in the lower elos? Technically speaking, it's just a trick question I just gave you, because Ahri as a champion will always be good if you know how to properly rotate. Her wave clear is still very good for the middle lane, and therefore she has solid access to side lanes on the daily. When she gets ahead or gets rolling, she always features the same features as other assassins. They'll literally one-tap you. The difference between Ahri towards other champions is that Ahri's kit doesn't really force her to fully commit her body to risk. She has a dash, multiple dashes at least, and a flash ability which gets her out of harm's way. Other assassins need to be more hands-on or need to be piloted very, well, let's put it this way, better. With Ahri, you combine the best of all those worlds with a slight punishment towards your damage and overall skill ceiling, but you'll still find solid impact throughout all your games if you understand what you have to do. To put it very simple, push your wave, get to level 5 as fast as possible, and rotate around the map. That's all you have to do. While doing so, you still have to understand that there are a few things you need to take notice of. For example, when waves walk into your tower and the enemy is able to hit platings. Losing those and giving the enemy free minion waves is always a big L, so you don't want that to happen. So most of the time, please focus on pushing out the wave first, going for a play afterwards, and then getting back fast enough to catch the next wave, or maybe pinging your teammates to go for the next wave if he's already in base. And this is our full tier list for the middle lane. Next on this list comes the AD carry or marksman role. The Dragon Lane has always been one of those lanes where people are just splitting their hair. They always say play this champion, play that champion, and this champion is broken. Yes, there are a few champions that are utterly broken, but you need the proper skill set for it. So let's talk about champions for a second. I could tell you to just, play Lucian, which is really strong, but will you be able to execute Lucian to a level which is acceptable? Or would you rather have a champion that is easy to play and almost always will have impact for the game? Well, obviously if you want to climb, you most likely take the choice that is easier to play yet has impact at the same time. So listen to the following. What about AD carry Brand? Brand with an AP build obviously. But all you have to do is literally spam out your spells into a teamfight situation and you will have immense value. And whenever somebody's trying to tell you that those champions are getting absolutely dumpstered in laning phase by other champions, yeah, good joke. Maybe if you're one of the 25 pro players within Europe that actually know how to properly play lane to some extent? Yes, maybe. And don't forget, lane is always a thing for 2 players in the bot lane, which means 4 players overall if you consider both sides. And how likely is it that the people understand what they have to do? Very, let's say, low. So don't lie to yourself and don't let people lie to you, play what you feel comfortable with, and if Brand is an easy solution to your problem with mechanical prowess or mechanical execution, then just go for Brand, it doesn't matter. And when it comes to teamfights, as I said, you can throw out your entire combo and even if you die afterwards, you will have immense value. And that is our full tier list for the Dragon Lane. Our last pick for this patch is going to be Nami on the support role. Nami is one of those champions that if you go for full AP builds, that she's going to deal a lot of damage. Don't go for any kind of supportive builds because it's simply not worth it. Now that I've basically accumulated the hate of a lot of players, I'll tell you why it's not worth it. Don't forget that you play bot lane or Dragon Lane with another champion in the lane. And let's say you're climbing, how likely is it that going supportive items for the champion you're playing with is going to win you the game? Because obviously the player you're playing with is within that elo bracket, so how likely is it for him to carry? With that in mind, how likely is it that you are going to carry? Who can you influence and who can't you influence? You can't just magically make your AD carry play better, you can enable him, but then it comes down to his mechanical prowess and his decisions. But why should you make yourself absolutely dependent on his decisions, when you just don't have to do it? You can still go full AP and still fulfill the role of a support champion, but you deal way more damage. For that, I recommend going Rod of Age's first item. With that you have a lot of extra HP, and with that extra HP you can tank a lot more damage and go for more proactive plays. And let's talk about why I picked Nami here. Nami as a champion is a very easy to execute champions if you look at the skill floor of the champion. Features healing, features engage, features peel, and all you want from a champion, without exposing yourself to too much risk, which is the biggest thing here. When we look into a lower elo environment, it gets very difficult for people to properly judge a fight situation. So if you're going in for your teammates and nothing is gonna happen if you don't have the damage to do something, you will simply die and your teammates are going to watch you die. So from my point of view, I rather prefer a champion that is able to maybe do a little bit of both by being more tanky thanks to items, yet have a high impact from range without exposing herself or himself to too much risk, and then just win the fight for the team. It's way easier, by the way, I believe. It's just the best thing I can suggest to you, let's be honest. And this is our full tier list for the support role. Thank you all for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content. See you soon for more.